We're excited today. We've got an interview today with a very fun group that's got an NFT project that's coming out soon. If you look at our show notes right now, if you look, it's already there. I don't even have to put it in the chat. If you just look at our show notes right now, you can already see the website, and then just join a Discord, because here's the thing: legally, we're required to be in 3,000 Discords. That's just what life is now. We're very excited. We're very excited for our guests for Yondo Mondo. We're gonna bring on Jason, Jay, and Kelsey. Thank you for joining us today. How are we doing?
Hello.
Hey everyone.
We're doing so good. I'm the loud one of the group, so if you ever need to just mute me, go right ahead, because I'm always very enthusiastic. I'm extra excited because I spent Saturday night with you guys. You don't know this, but I know this. And we hung out on Saturday night, and I fell in love with your interview styles, finding
nice.
crypto dads. Well, you guys did such a good job. They were so cool to get to know, those two. And I just loved your questions, a little hardball, a little softball.
That's all credit to Mike. He's the only one with actual hosting experience on the show. We rely heavily on his talents.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like we're lined up nicely then, based on energy and excitement and loudness. It makes sense that you and I are in that same box. I think that works out well. Well, I'm glad you saw the Crypto Dads interview, because that was a lot of fun for us. And one of the things that we really liked about that entire process, because honestly, that was the first time we had really done something outside of Top Shop. But the thing that we really enjoyed is we got to know the people behind it. Right? It was less of receiving a DM invite to join a Discord because you're gonna make $1 million, right? So it was, and to actually get to know what the process was, what was exciting about it for you all, and why everyone else should share the same excitement that you all have. So we're excited to do that for Yondo Mondo today. So tell us a little bit about where you're at, how this process has been for you.
I mean, this has been amazing, but we had one really interesting thing that happened that I feel like is noteworthy, that I'm going to share. So Stroll, on the other side, one of my best friends, we met in the crypto space 4 years ago. And when you go through those kinds of highs and lows together, and you get into ETH around $100, and then you see it go and you see it dip, and you stay friends. You go through a lot of life together. And so I trust him more than I trust the average human. And he's also the biggest skeptic I know, fights me on literally everything. And when I found CryptoKitties 4 years ago, he was like, "You're insane. This isn't going to go anywhere." Was the biggest naysayer. And it was always kind of this joke between us. So when he texted me this summer and he's like, "Kels, I'm going to launch an NFT," I was like, is this, I had to double check my contacts, because I was like, no, not Stroll. So I was bought in because of him and how intense he is. And then he almost died. So maybe you want to just take it over and tell us why you've been in the ICU for the last few weeks and how that was when you decided to start a project.
Yeah, what a segue. But no, happy to delve in. I suppose it's definitely a unique part of our story. So as Kelsey alluded to, most of my professional career has been focused around being a pain in the ass. So tearing things apart as an analyst, a strategist. And so that was my foray into the crypto world. And we can get into that a little bit later if it's relevant. But yes, I am more tepid and open-minded in my private life, but certainly when it comes to things like this, what Kelsey alluded to is true. So yeah, we'll get into the project and how exciting it was and why we decided now is the time to enter the space and what is uniquely different about this. But to cut to the ICU thing, essentially you're building the startup, you're working your ass off, crazy hours for 3 months. We reached this culminating point where the artwork's coming together. We got the team, we got the devs, it's all happening. It's all hands on deck. And then, I had some GI issues for about a month that I was ignoring because of all this work. And I was having too much fun to pay attention to my body, I suppose. And the doctors aren't sure what happened, but essentially 2 extremely rare bacterial infections just kind of took over my body. And so one day I said, I'm not feeling that well. And then the next day I was in the emergency room. And then the day after that, I was intubated in the ICU. And I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And I've been home now for, I guess, about almost 2 weeks as well. So fucking terrifying experience. Have an immense amount of gratitude for the legion of medical professionals that saved my ass. It got worryingly close there for a couple of days. So it's just been a lot. But I mean, what a story. Every startup that I've ever been a part of is a huge struggle and a challenge. If it was easy, it wouldn't be believable or real. So I feel like it fits into this typical tapestry of the incredible struggles of trying to actually do anything real. But that is what Kelsey was talking about. I am on the mend and doing okay.
I just want to say too, very flattered 2 weeks out of the ICU that you're like, the thing I need to do is come on this stream.
I made him brush his hair, guys. His hair's been like, I'm like, Jay, could you brush your hair and could you change your shirt for us, please?
And sit up, like not talk from bed. So, pleasure, happy to be here. It feels really good to get back into some semblance of normalcy. But yes, definitely an unexpected roadblock. And while I have the stage before I get booted out of here, I'll just say that Jay and Kelsey have been unbelievable when you talk about a team. And so much of, I think, our story and what I believe makes us unique is the optics, is the visibility, is us publicly being what I believe to be an incredibly strong team and a driving force behind why I hope people see this as something that has the potential to be very successful. It's certainly what we believe. And, you know, the proof is in the pudding. One of the founders basically knocked off the face of the earth into drug-addled unconsciousness for 2 weeks in a hospital. And Jay completely took over. Kelsey completely took over. And I woke up to a fully thriving, ever-growing, you know, that much more advanced company that I had basically slept through. It's a very bizarre experience. And if I didn't have these guys, we would have been totally screwed. So your people
what a
are
story.
everything.
Glad you're feeling better. Glad you're feeling better. And what a story. I mean, we're all very excited about the project. We should probably even, we should let Jay speak and then maybe also show some of the art, right? Because it's really, really cool. Also, this is our first time with 6 boxes on the square. It feels like the Red Zone channel, and it's going wild.
Look, I have an update. A couple of housekeeping things. First and foremost,
wow.
I gotta bring that down a little bit. We'll do that in real time. And then second of all, a very important point from Jeb is Greg Struhl talking. So I'm just gonna do that swap. Oh no, we lost Jay.
Was that you, Greg? Did you boot? Because Greg occasionally boots people. So.
I did not boot. No, I did not. But either way, when Jay comes back, I will be aligned to Jason, just as Mike is aligned to Kelsey.
It's great.
And then, Greg, do we have one more thing?
One more thing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we love our emojis. So if you guys check the emojis, if you're a member of Team Hold VIP, you'll see some Yondo Mondo emojis.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, so we put some, people can send emojis in the super chats sort of in YouTube, and where they get access to emojis, and we just added that into the mix, courtesy of Greg. Very fun.
I love it, Greg. Frozen face Greg. I have that. I just collected that piece of artwork, and I'm gonna be hanging on my wall.
So
we got it. Yeah.
No,
sorry.
You not apologize. You're good. I was gonna say, so tell us a little bit about the project. Like we have the artwork up here, but tell us a little bit about like where it came from and why we're jacked about it.
Yeah. So I think like the most exciting thing about this project is we really don't intend for it to be an avatar PFP play. We really want to think about this as like, this just happens to be our Kickstarter round into something much bigger. So I think you'll notice the way we approach things, and I will give that credit to our co-founder who's not on screen. He's like really the fearless leader. If you were to look at like all of the 3 Yondos, he's like the big blue guy for sure who keeps us all going. And that's because he's been working in product for 15 years. This guy's built video games. He's done, iOS stuff. And then he built a consumer banking app that was, it was acquired by a very large company that everybody can go look up. I'm not allowed to say it, but he works for them right now. And and so he's very, very, very good at product. And then Stroll over here, despite being an incredible finance guy, has got a hell of an imagination. So these two, I think, just growing up as like nerdy space fans, they were like, what if there was a way to bring the world into creating the next universe, the next Star Wars, Pokemon, Harry Potter, a lore that people could get involved in, where we give you the start of it with 3 base characters, and we start to tell you where they came from, but then you help us finish the story.
Yeah.
And there was this whole sort of like notion of like, what if we had this P2P ability to, you know, build out the next Pixar, of course I said that. What if we had the P2P ability to do that and have other people involved in it instead of just a couple guys in a room? And that's the genesis, I think.
That's really cool. So it's you know, like a community built narrative in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, we're still obviously, you know, we're still see ourselves as a entertainment and multimedia company, and we're going to be iterating and creating these experiences and bringing it to life. But, you know, when we looked at the NFT landscape, I mean, in transparency, the thing that really reeled me in was probably the success of the community that the apes have engendered. I said, this is really interesting. And now I see some utility behind this beyond just the collectability and people freaking out about the appreciative potential. There's actually something real happening here. And then, you know, Jay and I, who have, you know, been best friends for 20 some odd years now, it wasn't a new notion that we had this grand vision of creating a fictitious universe. As Kelsey alluded to, we were both pretty weird kids, myself especially, and just fictitious worlds were the thing that kind of got me through the rigors of childhood. And so story and how that affects the human experience, especially coming out of the last 1.5 to 2 years that we've all been through, we thought, let's create something that's effusively positive, interactive, friendly, inclusive, that kind of has a mission and a provocation and an impetus that reflects some of the bigger issues our society is going through. And so these guys are exploring the universe to figure out their origins, to figure out how to save their planet, to see what life is all about. And I think, you know, there's obviously a strong history of science fiction kind of allowing us to explore difficult confrontational issues in a way that is less bifurcating than the normal discord that, you know, we have these days. And so that was a large piece behind it. And then, you know, getting back to the NFT side of things, we thought, well, how would, you know, Toy Story or Star Wars or anything else launch today, given this set of technologies? There's obviously the ability to, you know, have something of a fundraising round in a totally novel way. But in terms of what else and why is this more unique than an avatar project, there's that ability to engage and interact and continually sort of reward your most evangelical early adopters by including them in this experience in perpetuity and immutably. I mean, obviously the ownership records can change, but we're always going to have this core group of you're the first bucket. And so we want people to think, you know, what if you owned a little piece of the IP of the next great entertainment franchise from the beginning? And that's kind of, you know, the way that we hope we're uniquely positioning this. That is emphatically what we plan to do. We have the team to do it, and we're insane enough that we believe we can make it happen. And Kels can tell you, this is probably the first time in my life I've fully drank the Kool-Aid for something I've been involved in. I just think it's too damn exciting not to try. And yeah, we found, I mean, you know, the artwork we're super proud of, the story we're really happy with, and sorry, I can tend to be a little loquacious, but
talk about the artist, Jay.
What's
to
that?
Throw it over. So you're the creator. The 2 Jasons created it. It was really their genesis, and they had these little sketches and ideas of what they wanted. Obviously, Jay Jacobs, being a product guy, is like totally insane about the quality of everything, which is like my favorite part about him. And he spent hours and hours and days looking for the best artist to try and bring this idea to life. And Stroll and him just like, you know, went through everybody they could, and they found this fellow named Yoshi, who is huge in Japan. As you can see, it's Japanese animation style. And Stroll, maybe you can tell us a little bit about discovering Yoshi, because that was pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, we went on an all-out quest. So we had very much a style and a sort of ethos that we wanted them to emote. And obviously in the crypto space, a lot of what has had traction, in the NFT world, has been this kind of grungy, maybe stereotypically crypto-ish in terms of rough around the edges, a little inappropriate, whatever, linguistically and all that, a little irreverent maybe is the word I was looking for. And we love all that. I'm totally into it. I have some of them. It's totally cool. But in keeping with our greater vision of where we wanted this to go and universal applicability, there was certainly okay, we want to create, you know, I think everybody secretly likes cute. You know, 45% of 30-year-old men sleep with a stuffed animal, which is a stat I just totally made up, but I feel like it's believable. You know, so I don't think, you know, we thought cute can be universally applicable when done right. We don't want it to be too cute. So how do we mix sci-fi and cute and keep and not damage the lore, make it too childlike that it loses appeal. So we went through a exhaustive process, looked through hundreds of artist portfolios and all the normal sites and places. And then the crazy thing is we narrowed it down to like 50, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And Jay and I made a point not to discuss it. And then we ranked them and we both put Yoshi as number one. So it was kind of this moment where we got to get Yoshi involved. And thank God, he has been incredible. And, you know, he has statues in Japan and has made characters for gigantic international corporations. And he was excited about being involved in an NFT project in a way that made it tenable for us to use him. So the stars sort of aligned in a way that allowed us to get what I think is just a sensational artist. And as Kelsey was saying, you know, Jay's style has been super helpful. Like, you know, being such a product guy, he kind of knew how to guide in a way that I would have totally messed up. And so we were able to explain our vision and our world and kind of leave this open sandbox for this hyper talented guy to come up with these concepts and designs that we then went through several rounds with. But
yeah, I'd say you guys, sorry to interrupt, I'd say you guys have found a good balance of cute and cool. And I think that was sort of the fine line that you needed to walk here, is right. Like it's its own aesthetic, its own style. And I think you've nailed that in what I've seen. But beyond that, what you mentioned earlier was the storytelling. And to me, that's something that I'm not seeing in many projects. There's, you know, roadmaps where, as Mike says, we're obligated to mention the word roadmap, legally obligated to say it, right? But something that you guys have touched upon, which is exciting to me coming from my work that I do, the storytelling is really exciting. And I haven't heard many people, you know, talk about that and how they're approaching this project and what they're trying to do. So I love that that's built into this. It's built into the project from the ground up, that this is going to be a part of it. And also you can be a part of this storytelling, which I think is unique, that the users have a stake in it and have an opportunity to grow with this and help define what the story is of their characters or whomever, what they have. And I think that's really special. I think that's unique and something that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and Kevin right there, right? So what Dustin said, this feels like a project to join in and share the journey with his kiddo, which I think
I think
cool.
it's inclusive for all ages, right?
Yeah.
I think the art style is cool and unique. The storytelling is something different, but it's also something that you can involve with perhaps even a younger generation. And so it's something for a little bit of something for everyone is the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, and I think my dog though, he's like, I gotta move. I think like what I really find exciting, or what I've enjoyed learning about different projects, are finding things that I really don't want to say the word utility. I really don't.
Legally obligated.
I think we're legally obligated. Yes.
I know, but like finding like what is the other exciting piece about like like how Top Shot stood out to me. I was like, oh, this is kind of like collecting basketball cards, which reminds me of like something that I was really into when I was a kid. I also really like basketball. It's like another way to embrace the fandom, right? And that is kind of something that I'm seeing with this from a different lane though, right? Where you're, again, like if you are into the sci-fi, into the storytelling aspect of all of those things, it's just like another way to engage with the community you're probably already immersed with, which I think is that's exciting. And those are the things that stand out. And when doing research on all of the projects that we've talked with or have thought about talking with, like those are the things that stand out. So it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah. Do you think we could pull up the website and start to scroll through and maybe let the team talk about what we're seeing and, you know, how all of the characters differentiate and what, and the reasons why, because I think that's really cool. And I'd love for like the community to learn more about that, myself included, because I think what they've done so far is really great.
And as you're doing that, I just have to apologize for my absence, but I decided too many comments like this, I just had to go full Jason. So I threw on the gray, had the black undershirt, took off the glasses. We're one and the same.
Earbuds.
We are.
It's great.
It's the start
You
of a
guys
beautiful
you look so much alike right now. I love
It's pretty funny.
I think you have a better beard than me, though. I hate to say it, but
It would.
No. This is just laziness on my end. I gotta clean it up a little bit. I think you got the better beard.
It would be pretty funny if I ended up seeing Jason this weekend at Greg's bachelor party instead of Greg. So
there's still time.
There's still time. There's still time. All right, cool. Yeah. So we pulled up the website here. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat again too, in case people are like, "Hey, Mike, this isn't big enough, you are an idiot. So I'm going to throw this in the chat and you can follow along. I don't know, where should we start here? Where is there a specific?
Yeah, like, I mean, if you want to show, so I think part of what's really cool with a lot of generative projects, you know, there's one shape and then a lot of different assets. So one thing that made Jay Jacobs' job a lot harder from the get-go was there were 3 characters. So there are 3 shapes. So you can imagine when we're coming up with asset ideas, when there's a set of glasses, they don't fit on all characters. They have to be, you know, redone for each one. And then we've started to think, not started to, but we've always thought about this as a blue chip project. So while other projects will take, you know, like a lightsaber or something like that, we're always thinking about IP from other creators and how we don't do things like that. And we don't, no bashing of anybody, but we're just very careful because, like I said, we are using this as a Kickstarter to start a much bigger corporation. You know, these guys, the Jasons, are incredible business people, which is why I came on board. And I own a marketing agency, so I have, you know, 20 clients that I work with full time, including the Grammys, who's very into NFTs. And I've taken an absence from my agency just to support these 2 because I believe in them so much. And you can see, I think, the quality of what they produce. I have no say in that. That's the 2 of them. They came up with these characters. They came up with all of these little pieces, but they needed somebody who could really help them take their vision and translate it to the community. And that's kind of where I come in. So if you ever saw our project in the beginning, it was very different because it kind of, it almost had a little bit more of a corporate feel. And we've tried to speak a little bit more to the NFT community. And it's actually gone through a name change. So if you guys saw it several weeks ago, we were originally called the Ethereans, and poor Stroll goes into the ICU and wakes up and sees Yondo Mondo everywhere and has no idea what's happening. But a project launched called the Ethereans, and they launched quicker than we did. And so we had to pivot, and that's where this came, this new world came. And it's been so much better from a branding perspective because Yondo is just way more fun. And really
I was going to say it's a blessing in disguise. I really I would have never thought that would have been the journey for this, but I think it's a happy accident, right? That it turned out this way.
Totally happy accident. And like you were saying with the kids earlier, my biggest audience for marketing feedback is my 3-year-old nephew, who literally, he was born during the hackathon where I met the Crypto Kitty guys. So I always call him my little Crypto Kitty, and he knows about NFTs. And when I showed him this and I said, Yondo Mondo, he starts going, Yondo. And I was like, okay, like, we're on to something. So you can see each one of them, you know, is going to be totally unique. There are a lot more combinations than we will actually be minting, of course. I think there were, like, the other day when we were running it, there were 13,000. But we'll only, of course, mint 10,000. And you can see that the artwork itself is 3D. So in the future, you'll be able to see your Yondo Mondo like completely full, you know, full stop.
Yeah.
And it's Yondo. I don't know, yo Yondo. You look like you're gonna jump in. Just jump in. Jump in, Stroll.
No, that's all great. The decision to go 3D was one that made our lives infinitely more difficult, both in the asset rendering and the design. But it gives us also the breadth to, first of all, you own this 3D file. You'll be able to actually download it, play around with it in Blender, 3D print it, do whatever you want. And then this is a little bit more, you know, out there, but, you know, I don't love conjecture about what the metaverse is going to be in these platforms. And obviously, you know, having third-party devs take characters and render them into a universe is extraordinarily difficult on a technical end, but just being open-minded towards that, and at least from a licensing perspective, from a utility perspective, having the ability to say, theoretically, at a point in time, these might be able to interact with other ecosystems. That was an important part of.
I think that was super smart, and I know it definitely was a pain in the ass to just sort of get it to this point to make that decision, but I think it was big brain thinking long-term. And I think it has the potential to pay off down the line. I think that was a really smart decision.
It really makes it stand out. And then even like thinking AR forward too, like it's a no-brainer. That's really awesome. I actually have to jump. I'm so sorry, but Jason obviously can fill my shoes perfectly. So it was incredible meeting you guys. I'm super excited about this and look forward to talking and learning more about it.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
So not only from the AR space, but if you talk from the physical space, like you're saying, you have the ability to, people can have 3D files, they can do what they want. If there's a connection to the digital to the physical, you have that there because you've already created that infrastructure with what you have here. So again, I think that was really smart, and I'm pumped about that. I love that.
Thank you. It was a difficult decision, and obviously from a time perspective, like this space moves so quickly, and there's so much pressure, and there's so many projects going, and you constantly have this feeling of any complexity that why didn't we just do a quick and dirty 2D thing if we're really just trying to raise money for an entertainment platform? But we wanted it to be as high quality as humanly possible from the get-go. That's just how we are, without making the mistake of spending 3 years building something no one asked for. And so you're constantly weighing expediency and get to market with something that we're proud of and sufficiency. I
think it also just stands out, to be quite honest, amongst other ones. When you see it, it just stands out. Oh, we got the Beagles.
The Beagle sighting.
Beagle cameo.
Well,
I will say, like, along those lines, Dustin, that's the thing that sticks out the most for me too, is there just feels a lot of uniqueness to it. Like from the artwork to like all of your pictures being on the website to you being on the stream, it feels like the way that it's been rolled out too has been has been calculated, right? That we're not trying to fire things out as fast as we can, and it just seems. Again, it seems like very well thought out and calculated.
I also think it's appreciated by the community, and specifically our community, when you can attach faces to the project and they can be transparent and talk about it. And I think that happened with the Crypto Dads, where they came on and they were very upfront and honest, and our community appreciated that. And the same thing is happening here. I feel like when we can talk directly to the people, if the chat has questions, things like that, they can see the passion and the care behind the project and talk directly with the people responsible for it. I think it goes a long way. So it's been really great.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it was central from the beginning, and quite frankly, I thought one of the strongest things we could do to communicate how serious we are about the project, if we're trying to market something and say this is the beginning of a much larger entertainment empire that we're going to build out, this is the beginning of a animated universe that we want you guys to get excited about interacting with and being able to experience. If we put our faces behind it, and we say, I'm a real person, I have a reputation that could be sullied, and I'm willing to stand behind this. I think it's one of the strongest value props you can have in this space specifically, just because of how obfuscated most of the project. Again, not that it's a good, bad, or indifferent, but just in the way that we wanted to approach this.
Yeah, I know that goes a long way. I don't want to speak for other people. It goes a long way for me seeing that. I wanted to be what's the word? Conscious every time. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say in this moment. I wanted to be aware of your time. So what I wanted to do is, if you all have any questions that you would like to fire out there before, listen, like one by one, we're just going to be losing people. It feels like this is going to end like 20 minutes. It'll just be me again. But if you have any questions that you wanted to throw out there, put that in the chat right now, and I'll monitor that. And if anyone has a good one, I will share it. And I feel comfortable saying I won't share bad ones. I feel comfortable saying that.
You can share bad ones. Like we got pretty thick skin, Mikey.
Yeah.
You're surprised.
But while those come in, since they're on a little bit of a delay, is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you're like, okay, the one thing we got to get across today? But yeah, if there's anything that we haven't touched upon, I want to make sure you have an opportunity to get that out there.
A big part, if anybody does research on my background, I've been involved with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for the past 4 years. I was one of the only women in the world to launch a cryptocurrency back in 2017, which is how I met Stroll. He was a consultant I hired, actually, and we became really good friends. But I got into working with the United Nations to help them specifically understand how this could help women and help people that couldn't access a lot of things, with different technology. And I spoke to them directly about NFTs because I found the guys who are now Dapper Labs. They were a bunch of hackers at the ETH Waterloo Hackathon, October 12th, 2017. It's been 4 years now. Wow. And I met Benny and the gang, who's now, heading up Top Shop. I met them there, and I stayed up all night sitting with them minting crypto kitties, because I was like, this is the future. This is how we show the world what smart contracts are, and non-fungible tokens are how we interact in the metaverse in the future. And it was like, damn it. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I still have all my kitties. I still have all of them in a separate wallet. Yes, I think I gave a few away, but I still have 89. But the point is, I could see that there was something philanthropic there too, because my mind instantly went to, holy shit, this is how we're going to be able to raise money in the future. So I connected them to a buddy of mine. His name's Bill Ty. He's a great philanthropic phenom, and he also has this program called Acti. He got Richard Branson into Ethereum, and like, you know, is just really big in that space. And he was the first person to teach me about Bitcoin. So I called him up. I was like, Bill, I'm at this hackathon. Like, these CryptoKitty guys are blowing my mind. You have to meet them. So he wrote them their first check for Dapper Labs, which is now an $8 billion company, which is pretty cool.
Decent.
Decent, like, you know, no big deal. Looks like nothing. So Bill, you know, we were like, okay, this is huge. And they did something called Hanu Kitty, which was like this crypto kitty that was a turtle that they did on Necker Island as a big fundraiser. And that was when we really had this aha moment, like, oh my God, we have to do something bigger. So Bill and I have been talking about this for years and years. And they're actually in the midst of launching something called MetaGood, which you guys will see a whole bunch about, but a bunch of celebrities have backed it. And it's to help get people using NFTs to raise money for charity. So we're a very big part of that. We've chosen 3 charities, one for each of our Yondos. And we each have, like, you know, a reason. Strolls obviously is medical related, and it's a very big celebrity backed charity. So I won't say it till we sign the paperwork, but they're very good friends of mine. And then the other one, which I'm more comfortable saying because they're getting a check from me regardless, is Hilarity for Charity, which is Seth Rogen's charity that works on Alzheimer's. So the reason why I'm here to help these guys get this project off the ground, but will never be a full-time executive on this, is because my 64-year-old father has Alzheimer's disease. And for the last 2 years, I've been trying to navigate how to take care of that, and have just moved up closer. But am very, very, very committed to using this platform and using any success from this launch to springboard and to really help with further charities. So, you know, in addition to the Hilarity for Charity and Alzheimer's, a medical charity, will also be supporting a water charity, just because the whole planet needs water so bad, and Charity Water does incredible work. And that's something that will continue to be a part of our business in the future. So not just this launch, not just some donated characters, not just, you know, some of the piece of our secondary sale royalties, but built into the fabric of our business is working with our partners at the UN and the UN Partnership Office to help them better understand this technology and to help tell stories. Like, these little Yondos, they live on the planet in the future. You can only imagine the lessons that they've learned from all the mistakes that we've made. So there's a lot of that going on too. So I'm like the like lovey-dovey, you know, huggy wuggy one. But the boys let me give money away too, which is super cool.
That's great. I mean, I jumped in late, sorry, but that's wonderful to hear. I mean, and again, just from our, like, us looking at projects, seeing the care that is being put into that, I think just, again, can help separate from so many other projects and get people really behind something in a big way. And you're also, again, on the stream talking about it, right? It can be one thing that's mentioned in Discord or something like that, which, you know, could be true. I don't know. But this is, you're attaching yourself to it in a big way. And for me, that's tremendously important. So I love that about what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I want to share. Listen, there was at least one question that I was like, yeah, we should do that. So Chunksta says, how many different types of characters will we be seeing?
In the initial release, certainly there's the 3 characters you see, the blue guy, as we'll call him, the big blue guy. Those are the Wozaks. We'll call him the eggplant guy, which is our internal name for him. Those are the Kubi, and then we have the Yaki. So those are the 3 sort of Yondo species, if you will. They all live in harmony on the planet. They all have a bit of their own backstory and their own proclivities and things like that. Those are the 3 characters. Also in our roadmap, you see there will eventually be, once we are sold out, we are going to drop a free adjunct character that every NFT holder is going to get. a little Yondo buddy to accompany them because it can get
Like a
lonely
little
out there in
pet.
space.
A little pet.
I love it.
Yondo,
Little
Yondo pet.
Yes.
So yeah, and then obviously, you know, being transparent and open-minded about the build out of this universe, of course, we're going to incorporate more characters and more things that we can say. The 10,000 NFTs are always going to be exclusive to these 3 character types, and you're always going to have a unique character in as it concerns where the future build out is going to go. If you get a blue guy from this collection, be assured that that's a special thing to have a blue guy.
Yeah.
And we worked incredibly hard on, we have a ton of assets. Kels, I think actually if we were lazy and we included things like just background color and simple changes, we technically have tens of millions of combinations that we
tens of millions of combinations. There were like 13,000 really nice ones that were like ready, but not all of those will go out. And there are super rare traits too. So, you know, there will be like metallic ones, gold, you know, like disco ball looking ones, diamond ones, like they're very cool.
I'll drop a little Easter egg. And one of my things after I woke up in the hospital, I said, I'd really like a healthcare focused thing to be the rarest item, to just kind of, in my own dumb way, say thank you to these incredible people who have gone through hell for the last 2 years.
Stroll. It's not dumb. It's not dumb. It's beautiful.
So that was and ironically, with the whole medical thing, I almost went to med school. It's just a weird full circle. So as you guys were saying, like the charitable component of all this and being able to incorporate our own passions and our own sort of causes into something like this, you know, it could be it's tough with these NFT projects. I mean, there's so much capital going through these projects in the secondary markets. The last thing you want to do is be seen as someone who's just gratuitously taking advantage of a cash grab or of a nascent market that's exploding, that's maybe unstable. And so on top of trying to build something real, on top of trying to really convince the audience that we're fervently dedicated to making a future, I just love that piece of it too, because first of all, I love that the better projects out there, in my opinion, have set the precedent of it's almost necessary to do. And I'm not embarrassed. Of course, if you observe the best players in the space, it's got to be a piece of it. But it's really made it personal and gratifying to think that, holy shit, maybe we can actually create something that genuinely has tangible impact, both on the people who are acquiring these things and hopefully getting something out of it beyond just entertainment, collaboration, and fun. And then, you know, this whole other aspect. So I don't even know why I went off on that spiel. I apologize.
Good.
But
spiels are good. Yeah. If we don't have the spiels, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, the question I have is that I want the community to know is what's their next step to get one, right?
Oh, yeah.
When is this? Do you want to talk about going live in the process? Oh, when Yondo, right?
I think. Let me tell you guys, until it feels like it's a disco in that Discord, no Yondo.
Okay, it needs to be popping. So everybody in our chat's got to join over there and start the party going.
Yeah, we want to get a little more fervor behind it, and to be honest, the whole, you know, contribute to the lore and help us create the adventure. It's an interesting chicken or the egg problem. It's an interesting marketing problem because you're trying to create a brand new universe that nobody knows about. At the same time, engage and interact and try to find some really passionate people to start to contribute to the story. And it's been an interesting messaging thing. So we got the story. We're creating this experience. The onus is not on the community to entertain themselves, but we really want to hear from you. We really want you to understand that your engagement is going to impact the trajectory, and we are going to listen. And we do think that's one of the unique things about this piece of technology. And so in building an audience and building the Discord, that's been an interesting, a very fun challenge. It's been amazing to see, you know, folks that we didn't know existed a week ago being hyper contributors. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we have that. I was about to say like minimum viable virality. Forgive my old corporate days. That's some stupid phrase I was about to make up. But you know, we just want to make sure that we have enough traction and enough excitement so that it is so that we're doing justice to the couple thousand super active people we already have.
Right. It's one of those things too where you I can understand the want to like have huge numbers, right? Like you want this to be popping, you want it to be excited, but you also want to reward the people that are like in there and ready to go, right? The people that are in there right now that are jacked, you still want them to have access. So I totally understand being like, you know, you can't go now because then there's not enough like hype. You
need the momentum to continue. Exactly. Yeah, you need the momentum to continue. You don't want it to launch and then maybe people forget about it. You want this sustained momentum upon launch to keep going, to keep growing.
Right.
And that makes sense.
And I could drop a couple hints. I mean, what we're hoping for is, at least for the pre-sale, to be able to start kicking off in a week to 2 weeks, I would say. Is
near.
Kels,
Near.
Is that fair to?
Yeah, a week away. We have so our big charity partners and some of our other like big brand partners, we'd like to get those press releases out and kind of into the world. I think we want to do a little bit more explaining about the team and kind of what's up, so people understand who we are, because I think we could do an even better job at that. We've just been running it 1,000,000 miles a minute, but I want this to be big for the community, and absolutely the people who are here already. We're never ever going to forget them. We're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
But this is also our very first shot at introducing Yondo to the world. So I'm going to be very particular about that.
No, and again, that goes back to everything else that we've talked about, where there's been no rush in like the rollout. It's been all like pretty like well articulated and thoughtful, which we appreciate.
It's taken a lot of self-control. The space is just so crazy, and you see everything, and there's been so much great stuff coming out. You go, what are we doing? But
you have something special, and you want to get it and share it with the world, and you're like, but wait, we have to wait. Almost there, right? Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
and speaking of sharing them with the world, if you pay attention to our Twitter after we wrap up today, there should be a little fun announcement about potentially sharing it with one of you all, right? So we'll be doing a fun little giveaway. So pay attention to our Twitter. You can see too, like all of the information is in our show notes. I've put it into the chat a bunch of times. We'll tweet it out. It's all going to be there. But highly recommend joining the Discord, following them on Twitter, doing all the things, right?
Do all the things. Get involved.
Get involved.
And you'll find me more than them. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm like the big cozy, like, come give me a hug, give me all your kisses. And these guys are like doing their nerdy thing in the background. You might see Jay Jacobs pop in every once in a while, but we mostly keep him working.
Got it.
But please engage, interact, and reach out. And I'm sorry, it sucks that Jay had technical issues, because he is just shockingly brilliant. He makes me look like a simpleton to the T, and we're so lucky to have him. So I wish
it's almost better, Stroll. It's like we kept our little secret,
secret weapon
locked in a room.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I think all this just leads to some breadcrumbs to post-launch. We just have to have you come back on and talk to us about the experience, and we'll bring Jay back.
Yeah.
All right.
We would love to. And thank you so much for the time, the platform, the comments. It's super appreciated.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. So again, stay tuned to our Twitter because in about a half hour, look, see, the dog's ready for a giveaway. Stay tuned to Twitter. We'll announce the giveaway fun stuff. You can find all of their information in the show notes. Kelsey and Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you. To Dustin and your cameos, there are going to be some plushies heading your way once those are ready.
Wow.
So. The plushies are coming.
Appreciated. Oh, that's amazing. I've got 3 boys. They will
one
love
for each boy. I pay attention.
Thank you so much.
I know you do. Great. I know you do.
Guys, thanks again. Thank you so much.
Talk to you.
We really appreciate it.
Bye.
That was so fun. I was so glad to have them come on today and chat. And look, now Greg, A+ job with the banner right there.
Yeah, see, nailed it.
Mark says, "When Bandy." Hey, also, now that the segment's over, it's really important that we share this. None of this is financial advice. Do what you love what you do. Something like that, right?